Hello, and welcome to the third installment of Conversations with Collectors. If you would like to catch the first two episodes of Conversations with Collectors, you can watch the first episode, which is about Art Wagner, a member of our Knowledge Bolide crew, and that episode aired on May 22nd and can be found within the Hangout video called Gems from Space. Our second episode aired on June 19th. It was a standalone episode starring a discussion between Jeff Notkin of Meteorite Men and my husband Topher Spinato of Topher Spin Meteorites. All of the rest of the information you'll need to find the episodes are on the screen for you. So that brings us to trivia time. Can you guys guess which country this collector is from? Let's take a look at a few of the iconic things that this country is known for. I'm going to help you guys out and give you one more clue. I'm going to let you know what is in the number one spot for the top 10 iconic things about this country. And in the number one spot, we have the asteroid miner. The asteroid miner is none other than Maxime Denoncin. And I hope that I said his name correctly. Maxime is one of the three members of our international Knowledge Bolide crew. You're not going to see him on too many of the Hangouts. And when you do, it will be a pre-recorded video. There's a pretty large time difference between where we live in Arizona and where he is in Brussels, Belgium. However, like the rest of our international Knowledge Bolide crew, they do submit videos from time to time. So if you have watched our channel at all, you have probably seen a video of Maxime's. And if you watch anything other than the Hangouts, you've probably seen his series, 50 Shades of Meteorites. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Before we jump deep into meteorites, let's just get to know Maxime as a person, just some of the basics. So he's a 26-year-old systems engineer. As I mentioned before, he lives in Brussels, Belgium, and he lives with his longtime girlfriend, Amelie, who is just absolutely stunning and beautiful. And he also has mom and dad, three older sisters, three nieces, and one nephew. And the dog doesn't live with him, but he says that the dog that lives with his sister, who once was the family dog, is the best dog in the whole world. Interesting side note, Maxime's dog's name is Laika. And some of you may know that Laika is actually the name of the Soviet space dog that was one of the first animals sent up into space and was the first animal to completely orbit the Earth. The rest of the story is kind of sad, so I'm not going to get into it, but I just thought that was kind of a cool name for a dog. Damn girls going crazy. All these good-looking blues. So some more interesting facts about Maxime. He makes me feel like a slacker because he does speak three languages. His favorite hobbies are obviously collecting meteorites and travel photography. Maxime actually started collecting meteorites at a pretty young age. He was only 10 years old when he got into this hobby. So he'd been watching an episode of a TV show that was really popular in the region at that time. It was, I believe, aired out of France, and it was a scientific and educational TV show. I believe that he said it was kind of geared toward children, but the name of the show was
C'est pas sorcier.
Hopefully I said that correctly. So he caught an episode that was dedicated to meteorites, and I hear this from people time and time again. The initial shock and just surprise that they have when they find out that everyday people who aren't like in part of NASA or in the government can actually buy and own and hold meteorites, these like awesome space rocks. Like he never knew that, and as soon as he found out, he was absolutely intrigued and couldn't wait to buy his first meteorite. Maxime's first meteorite was actually a Sikota Alin, which he said he overpaid for, but it was still worth it. He said once he held it in his hands, he was even more hooked, and at that point no longer needed his allowance to buy toys. Every penny that he got was put toward meteorite purchases from then on. So I wanted to briefly touch on the other hobby that Maxime had mentioned to me, and that was the travel photography. So I feel like it's important to mention because it does really tie into his meteorite hobby. His travel photography is just as good as his meteorite photography. Uh, I asked him where his very favorite place was to travel to, and I was so honored to hear that it was the United States. He's been here 4 times, and so he's been to Florida, Chicago, New York, but his very favorite place to travel to, which he had a lot more pictures of, was actually Route 66. And I was so honored because Route 66 goes right through Arizona. Yay! We're going to probably share some of that amazing photography with you guys. And you'll see that, yeah, he could be making travel calendars and selling them by the thousands, I'm sure. So Maxime shared with me that when he is traveling and taking photographs of different places that he's visiting, his number one goal is to really try to capture the a sense of the place, a sense of the culture, and based on the photographs that I've seen, he's definitely accomplished this goal. Especially with the Route 66 pictures, you can tell that he told me that was his favorite place, and you can see that in the photographs. He just captured a certain aesthetic of it, and it really shines through in his work. So he should be really proud of himself. In regards to Maxime's meteorite photography, I wanted to throw some fun numbers out there for you guys. His total number of views and his total number of watch hours. So as of today, I just looked this up. Maxime has almost 155,000 views on our channel. And those videos, and it's just a handful, it's like 3 or 4. The watch time is now at over 9,000 hours. So people love his photography. So if you have not checked it out, hopefully those numbers convince you. We are very honored to host his work on our channel. It reaches a much larger audience, and we are so honored to be sharing that with everybody. So life got busy for Maxime. Years ago, when he was going through school and all of that, when he moved out on his own, he didn't have the same funds available to spend on meteorites. So he did take a break from the hobby for a while. He never got rid of any of the meteorites that he had purchased. They were still really special to him. So he had them all still. But then when COVID hit, he was stuck in his apartment and decided to revisit the hobby. And he was so glad he did, because now he's hooked even more than he was before. He didn't know that there was a whole community of people that felt the same way about meteorites that he did. So we are so glad that he's part of the community now. One of the fun things about being part of the meteorite community for Maxime was having people to share the excitement with when he bought a new meteorite. But I'm going to not go too deep into that, because that's also something that Topher spoke about with Maxime, and we're going to let you listen to what they have to say about it later. Before, Maxime didn't really have a focus for his collection, and now he does. He's going to be collecting 5-gram or more specimens of recent witness falls. These aren't the easiest to come by at all times, and they can be expensive. The new falls are what people are always clamoring for. So that's what he's going to be focusing on. Another aspect of meteorite collecting that intrigued Maxime is the wide variety of different kinds of meteorites there are. He had initially been under the impression that there was a much smaller group of just types. He didn't think that there were going to be such a wide array of colors and textures and compositions and just everything that encompasses meteorites. He had no idea that there were so many different kinds. You can see that this is something that intrigues him when you watch the videos that he's created on our channel. You can see how much he appreciates the uniqueness and the different features of each meteorite that is the subject of his photography. So I did ask Maxine what some of his favorite meteorites were, and of course it's so hard to pick favorites, but he did mention and I hope I pronounced this correctly, Legel, which is a meteorite that he said has always intrigued him. And so this meteorite fell back in April of 1803. So, and he said this is the meteorite that kind of gave birth to the science of meteorites. And there had been witnessed falls before, but this one was very widely witnessed, and there was no denying that it was from space. So it was this acceptance of, yes, this is a space rock. It's not debris that was blown out of a volcano or, came from some other source here on Earth. Like everybody pretty much agreed, yep, this came out of the sky. It was in space and it's here now. So he, that intrigues him, and he finds that meteorite very interesting. And I didn't know about it beforehand, but after he told me about it, I actually looked it up and read into it, and I found it to be very interesting as well. So another meteorite that Maxime said was one of his favorites was actually Murchison. And he pretty much told me that he's into collecting chondrites and achondrites, not so much the pallasites and irons, which are actually my favorite, but that's okay. So he really just likes, his favorite features of meteorites are chondrules and fusion crust. So that's what he's attracted to. That's what appeals to him. I know that he's actually working on some video content regarding fusion crust, and he's been working on it for a while. So when that drops, I think we're all in for a big surprise. So keep an eye out for that. So one of my favorite things about working on these segments, the conversations with collectors, Topher and I decided that we would work on these together. So I'm really excited about that collaboration. We are very different people emotionally, and we have noticed that when I have a conversation with a person and Topher has a one-on-one conversation with the same person, the conversations tend to unfold quite differently. Much different subject matters covered during the conversations, and together I feel that we really do a good job of like gaining a sense of the person. Every time we've done these, we feel like the person's a new friend now. Friend for life. Topher had a conversation with Maxime as well, and so let's watch that. And I think they're going to be talking about meteorites a little bit more. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about his life.
Maxime,
Yeah,
am I saying your last name right? Denoncin? Is that close?
yeah. The in French we say Denonçant.
Denoncin? All right.
Denonçant. Yeah.
I will try not to obliterate that every time because you're quite an active member of the Knowledge Bolide Hangouts, and you submit a lot of videos to us. And I think the whole crew, the tight crew, know you, but the collective YouTube crew really doesn't know you that well. So that's kind of what this conversation with collectors is all about, getting to know Maxime Denoncin.
Denonçant.
Denoncin. All right. Well,
It's fine.
we just want to put a little bit of a personality because with the videos, with your submissions, because we know the timeline. You're not here in America, obviously. Where are you at, buddy?
In Belgium, Brussels.
In Belgium, Brussels. So
Belgium.
our schedule of our dinner time show doesn't really work out for you, but you going out of your way to submit videos and be as an active member of the crew as possible. We really appreciate that, man.
I'm glad participating. Like really, it opens a lot of possibilities, and it's really cool to like meet other people from the community, even virtually. Like it make the meteorites collecting feeling much better. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
And when I get a piece from someone in my collection and it's someone I don't know, it's maybe not as special as a piece that came from like a Roberto Vargas or someone that I've had interactions with. I just named him because I got a Fouquet from him and it's super special. Talking about special pieces, if you can quickly give a synopsis of what your collection, what do you focus on? Why do you focus? And kind of how'd you get into meteorites? I know that's a big question though.
Okay, like in the beginning of my collection, I was not really focusing on anything. Like I was more like, oh, I can have meteorites. Let's have all of them. That was the idea. But very soon it appears that there were way too much for that, of course. Uh, and in the beginning, I'm focused on micro specimens, and I wanted to get as much types as possible. And that was mainly because I was really like, I'm still on a budget, but my budget was really, really smaller before. And so I mainly had micro specimens, like it was 10 euros, like about $10 maximum for each specimen. So I had a lot of limitations with that. And now I have two main focuses now in my collection. The first are carbonaceous chondrites, just because I love the scientific values, scientific value of those meteorites. Just like like Murchison, and now the new CT group. That's really like I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I really have a special feeling when I have a carbonaceous chondrite in my hand.
It's an important class of meteorites, and it's an ever expanding class of meteors, as you just alluded to.
Yeah, exactly. I think among all the classes of meteorites, it's probably the one that is the most studied by scientific in the scientific community. So yeah, that makes it really interesting for me, and I try to get as much as possible now. And also something that I like with carbonaceous chondrites is just this dark look they have. Like also the fusion crust of carbonaceous chondrites is usually really, really beautiful. And that leads me to the second focus of my collection, which is now trying to get larger individuals of witnessed falls. I want to get individuals because I love fusion crusts. So the idea is to get nice, at least 5-gram specimens of each of the recent, at least witnessed falls. So
well,
yeah,
that's a cool goal. And as you alluded to, as your collection changes, as your position in life changes, or the amount of money you want to budget towards your collection changes, you can change your focus of meteorites. You've been an extremely popular micro collector, and the community has benefited from that, because although you may not be able to have been able to afford the largest samples, you are getting some really important samples. But your photography is one thing we cannot leave off the table. Your photography is amazing. You're a macro photography expert. Talk to us a little bit about your passion of photography and how meteorites got involved in that.
Yeah. Now, first, I would say that my skills in photography are really far from being so good. Like when I see the work of Domian from Croatia, his work is like here, and mine is way below. Like it's really...
keep digging to get to the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I would not say that I have so good skills, like, but yeah, for a very long time now, I've always loved taking pictures. So also videography, like I love taking videos of, especially when I travel, and like when I travel to places that are quite far from here, I like to capture the like what I try to convert what I feel into the picture, like in front of a huge landscape. I love trying to get that feeling in the picture to be able to share it with other people. That's really the idea. And that's not so long ago I discovered that I could maybe do that too with meteorites, by doing macro photography of my samples, trying to get like the best light on it, trying to share with the community how beautiful a fusion crust is, or how strange a specimen looks under the microscope. So that's always the same idea behind this. I want to share with people the feeling it makes to have a meteorite in my hands, or a landscape, all this.
Well, I think that's interesting you mentioned, because a lot of people, I feel, take out their cell phone to capture a picture to prove a point. See, I was there. Rather than, like you said, you're inviting everyone into the landscape, capturing it, and then sharing that emotion, sharing what you're feeling and what you're experiencing with people in your photographs. And I really think that comes through in your macro photography. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the most viral videos, I hate you, on my YouTube channel.
Sorry for that.
Maxime has released a few videos on his YouTube channel, the Asteroid Miner, but it's really hard to gain traction on YouTube and get an audience. So my channel has we're approaching 6,000 subscribers now, and you have by far the most viral video on my channel. One video has over 70,000, another one has over 50,000 views. So you're crushing it, man. And we're really happy to give you that platform to help share that with other people, because it's obviously very popular.
Yeah, and I'm like, I already said it a lot to you, but I'm really thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to share it. Like really in the beginning, I was not expecting this result. Like I told to Sue last time that the idea behind was like to share the, like as a collector, I can't get enough of meteorites. And if I can see a lot of meteorites in a very short amount of time, I am really delighted. And that was the idea behind this video. It was to give other collectors the opportunity to see specimens they probably maybe have not seen before, discover new meteorites in a very short amount of time. And so that was the idea of putting a fixed number of meteorites, 50 in 8-10 minutes.
Yeah, it's an easy buy on, and it's a wealth of visual information. And I've learned from them myself, just looking at different samples, seeing them up close, you can see the structural difference and everything. Besides, oh God, I have like a plethora of questions to ask you. Okay, I want to talk about your trip to Denison. Have you ever been? Have you ever hunted meteorites? Besides meteorites, what else do you focus on in life as far as collecting or passions? Go for it. Anything that's on your mind.
Okay, well, let's talk about Ensisheim. Like, it was like it's been many years that I've dreamed of going to Ensisheim, meeting people and buying meteorites in the real life, like in a store. Because until now, I've only been buying meteorites on the internet, which is nice. Like you get to know people, you talk with them via Facebook or other ways, but it's in the end like it's not the same. You are still like alone in front of your computer. And yeah, I wanted to get that feeling to discussing with people about meteorites, and just having people show what they are selling, and you choose between all two specimens. And then that's really what I got by going to Ensisheim, and it was really a great experience. Like I met Marco from Germany.
How many times have you gone? I'm sorry.
It was the first time.
Just this once, and just last month, just like a few weeks ago.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right.
My first time in Ensisheim, and
wow,
surely not the last time. Like I think now it will become a yearly.
Oh, good. Yeah,
good.
Pilgrimage to see Marco. Who else did you catch out there?
Marco, Roberto.
Who was it?
Roberto Vargas.
Okay. Roberto Vargas. Yes.
Raymond Borges. Sean Mahoney.
Yep.
And yeah, so Pierre-Marie Pellet, which is a French killer and collector.
Nice.
I bought his book directly from him.
Oh,
great
cool.
guy to discuss
nice.
with. And yeah, a lot of other collectors and sellers. I'm sorry to have forgotten them.
That may be one thing that's I mean, a lot of people travel to Tucson show, but maybe not everyone from Europe is able to get to the Tucson. So I think the only time I'll be able to meet some of these people is if I actually go to Denison one of these times. But I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of people in Tucson. So we have to have like a crew donation or something so we can get you sponsored for a trip to Tucson.
For this, I like Ensisheim was my first goal. Tucson is the second one. I'm really considering the option of going there. Maybe in like I was thinking probably not next year, but in 2024 maybe.
That'd be fantastic. Well, definitely keep in touch with the crew, and that we'll make sure we got a place with the Meteorite Mansion. All right.
Oh, great. That would be awesome. Like,
Um, do you take photographs? Well, I know in my collection, I love Chelyabinks. Chelyabinks is one of my favorite witness falls, one of my favorite meteorites, the story, the lore, the sexiness of it. But I hate photographing Chelyabinks. Is there something in your collection that you are super proud of, but you're like, God, I hate photographing it? Or is there something that you absolutely love photographing? You're like, it's just an H3. There's nothing special.
Yeah, I have some cases like that. I, like I don't like photographing irons and stony irons.
Mhm.
Like basically everything that has iron in it, and that I want to see the iron on the picture, but it's really hard to get it, because even yesterday I was taking pictures of some meteorites, and I discovered one new thing about the field of focus, and like it's really difficult to get the right color, get the right reflection, have the reflection to be a bit blurry but not
Yep.
too much. That is really difficult. I prefer to avoid photographing any like very polished iron with a high amount of reflection. I prefer photographing fusion crusts, basically.
Yeah. And so if anyone has any witness fresh Martian falls, send them to Maxime. He'll photograph them for you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I have no problem with that.
Is there anything else in your life? Because I know you're a really passionate guy and just a really fun-loving individual. Is there anything else? I don't expect the level of passion, but is there anything else that's captured your interest as meteorites in your life, either at a previous segment of your life or currently?
I think currently I don't have anything that is at the same level than meteorites. Meteorite is my number one focus, but there are some other things that I like to do, and like I'm really also into technology and this kind of stuff. So I like sometimes I like to play a bit with like little electronic stuff, like doing kind of do-it-yourself projects, this kind of thing, like connecting things to the internet and building up sensors to know the level of moisture in a plant, for example, or things like that. Like I like yeah, doing those little electronic projects by myself.
Very nice. Did I also see at one time that, and this may be edited out, but I see at one time you were programming a Raspberry Pi computer?
Yeah. For example, I I did a lot of projects with a Raspberry Pi. Also, like yeah, I like programming like little things to help me do everyday things. And lately, I've been considering some things with meteorites and like merging my love for programming, my love for meteorites. And I have two projects ongoing for that. One that I already started, which is building an artificial intelligence that is able to recognize meteorites from meteorons. But I prefer to be very. I want to stay on the safe side with that, because I don't want it to be used like because it's not perfect. And if you use it and that it tells you that it's a meteorite, but it's not, I don't. I don't want to have problems.
It's not a scientific classification. It doesn't
Exactly.
hold that weight, and you're not liable. But that's a cool project. Wow. Would you keep me informed of what's going on with that, or when it's released? Or we'd love to see that.
Sure. It will take some time, because I have to build a library of meteorite pictures and meteor-wrong pictures, but I'm doing it by hand because I cannot find any like library that I can directly use and import in my code. So I need to download image per image. I take my own images, and it's a lot of work, but hopefully I would say maybe in 1 year or two, I have something that I could release.
Absolutely. That's a long-term project, man. I'm super excited to hear how that is coming out. I'm glad I asked about your technology interest, because I never would have learned that about you. I do have a question, because you were not very believable when you started collecting meteorites. I heard your family and friends did not believe that you were actually buying meteorites.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if it's a very common problem for collectors. I guess yes, because like for many people, when you are talking about meteorites, and it was my case in the beginning, when I heard about meteorites, it was like, no, only the guys from NASA or like scientific can have it, and we have so few of them on Earth that it's just impossible to get them, like just buy it on eBay. And after I saw a documentary on the TV about meteorites and the fact that you can totally own a meteorite, I went to eBay. I bought my first meteorite. It was the start of the collection.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I understand that people don't like. They are like, no, you can't have meteorites. Like it's just a scam if you buy something from eBay. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
So I understand why people are thinking that, but yeah, a lot of people around me, and especially when I was starting collecting, were like, "Oh no, what are you doing? Like you are just giving out your money to some scammers out there."
Yeah.
But,
Do you want to buy my bridge? I have one in my backyard. No,
exactly.
I totally understand that. It's hard to fathom and wrap your head around. Before I ask my last question, I do want to put this caveat out there to the world. Just don't believe everything you see on eBay. I'd say about 30 to 35% of the stuff on eBay is absolute garbage or scam or terrestrial. So if you're going to get into meteorite collecting and you want to start buying a meteorite, eBay may not be the best choice for you unless you are educated enough to know what you're looking at. So
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out there for everyone. My parting question to you, and I could literally go on for another 2 hours, but my parting question to you is there someone in the meteorite community at any level that has inspired you, that you look to as a leader? Is there someone in academia that you are looking forward to meeting at one point in your life? Is there anyone that inspires you?
There are many collectors that inspires me, and yeah, I could say for example, Marco inspired me a lot with his oriented meteorites. Like
Yeah.
I discovered that you can find specimens that are really interesting as is, like an individual specimen, even if you don't know the story behind it because it's an unclassified NWA chondrite. Like it's just the meteorite itself is so beautiful, and you can learn so much from the features it has on its surface, like the flow lines or other lips. That's it really gave me this little push to try to get to individuals of witnessed falls. Like I think this was the start, the video of Marco about oriented meteorites.
Yeah,
That
Marco Geyser. Marco Geyser is one of the crew members for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, also like I would say that everyone in the community that welcomed me in the beginning, like it was not so long ago, but yeah, just I've collected alone for a long time, like without real contact with the community. And once I decided I should go out, talk to people, and the whole community, and it includes a lot of people, and you also, like you welcomed me like with open arms, and I
I felt the
think.
passion in you. It was, you know what I mean? We're moths to a flame. What can I say?
But yeah, it was like really I owe this to a lot of people. And yeah, you also like you give me the inspiration for the videos. Like I discovered with you that you can do videos about meteorite and have a public for it.
Mhm.
And like yeah, you can share it with people, and you will always find people that are interested. So for this, I'm really thankful to the Hangouts, also the Hangout series.
Well,
That's
we're super proud to call you among our crew members. I mean, honestly, we know if it wasn't for the time difference that you'd be with us week in and week out. We know you're there in spirit, especially when you give us videos, high production quality videos of your collection that are directly on topic, like this last week for Witness Falls. That video just went live a few hours ago, so I'm done editing it. Well, the whole point of the conversation with Collector Series is just get to, like you said, you were collecting on your own for a while, doing a lot of things over the internet. You've actually now been able to engage more with people in the community online, but also taking that into your real life with ensign visits and planning future visits, maybe to America as well. So that's really what I think of when I think of the meteorite community, is people, the stories, and bringing us all together. So
Yeah.
Maxime, thank you so much for your time today. Any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Just I would like to say a last thank to the whole community and the crew, the Knowledge Bolide crew. Yeah, really, like it brought my meteorite collecting experience to a next level.
Nice.
This
That's
crew.
great to hear. That's great to hear. We're in it for the education and the entertainment and also the community. And Maxime, I count you as one of my friends, so I'm very proud of that. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time today, man.
Thanks a lot to you. Thanks, buddy.